Berberine has been called Ozempic in a pill. And like Ozempic, there can be weight loss, but there's a side effect that won't be touted in all these health articles showing you how great Berberine is. I've changed my mind 3 times on Berberine in the past year, so this video will show you the facts about Berberine so you can make an informed decision. When many of you wrote in asking my opinion of Berberine, it was the first time I really slowed down to understand that indeed, metformin and Berberine have very similar effects at lowering blood sugar. But much like any supplement, the difference between an FDA-approved and regulated medication and a supplement was, well, spotty performance. The prescription I could trust, and it was doing exactly what I asked for. Well, Berberine, it just didn't have the performance that was as stable as metformin. So when comparing any supplement to a prescription medication, the FDA ensures that the metformin was actually 500 milligrams and that it was pure. Unlike Berberine, where a supplement company doesn't always have a third party looking at it, and even when they do, I find that when they say one thing, there's not really anybody overlooking that it actually did that the 3rd, 4th, and 5th batch they made. So I find that the performance of metformin was trustworthy and actually lowered the blood sugars in my patients as expected. But Berberine often had a spotty performance. But that isn't why I hate Berberine. Metformin and Berberine do have basically the same impact, and I want to make sure that the people watching this video understand that the audience I'm speaking to are not the people that have diabetes and are using metformin as a treatment for their diabetes. Please do not watch a YouTube video to decide your medical care. The people I'm trying to talk to are the ones using Berberine to extend their life, lower their blood sugar, and do a whole bunch of other things that these articles say are happening. So let's get to the reason why people are so excited about taking Berberine. In fact, when I looked into Berberine, I was a little shocked that it is very similar to how metformin works. It has a little less binding capacity, but the research was pretty impressive on how similar these 2 molecules are. Let's take a look at some of these health articles that advertise how great Berberine is. It does indeed lower blood sugar, much like metformin. That part is very true. The second part that they talk about is how much weight loss people have on Berberine. The mechanism is also very similar to what happens with metformin. There's a little nausea, their gut motility slows down, and they don't eat as much. That is true. They then talk about how there might be a link that lowering cholesterol and decreasing heart disease was linked to Berberine. They talk about depression being a little bit better, that they say maybe there's an improvement in cancer, and they talk about test tubes and animal studies and then try to apply it to patients. They then talk about how great Berberine is for oxidative stress and inflammation. And they say, yes, it's an anti-inflammatory, it's an antioxidant. But they skip all the details that even in a petri dish or in animal models, when you can see if we apply this molecule, this chemical, Berberine in this case, to a stressful, inflamed tissue, that it does something unique and maybe that lowers inflammation. They don't talk about is when you swallow it into an insulin-heavy patient, meaning someone producing way more insulin than they should, how it's hardly going to do a thing. It's within those articles they'll talk about the improvement in your immune system, how your fatty liver is a little better, and maybe heart failure got better. I think all of these claims stem from the reduction in insulin. That when you decrease blood sugar, yes, that's wonderful. That also is associated with a decrease in insulin. They are extrapolating a lot of these claims based on the fact that when insulin is lower, many of these benefits happen. But it's not a direct correlation. And like I said, the performance of Berberine is not predictable. So where'd all this hype come from? Well, in 2014, in Bannister, an article was published that really got those influencers excited about how metformin or Berberine might have an advantage as we age. Yes, helping us live longer. Unfortunately, the opposite results came out in 2022. Now we have a trial called the TAME trial that's underway to say, well, who was right? And we aren't going to know the answer for a half a decade if we're lucky. So why do I hate it? Well, the mechanism for lowering blood sugar, and I mean from metformin or Berberine, can be debated in the scientific articles, but we know one thing for sure. In the mitochondria at complex 1, there's partial inhibition, which indeed lowers blood sugar. But I'm not sure it's such a hot idea to weaken your mitochondria, to partially inhibit it. This mitochondria, the powerhouse of your cells, is what turns fuel into energy. It is what powers us. And if you don't have a severe risk like diabetes, why are you doing that? There are a lot other ways to lower blood sugar that don't block your mitochondria's power. If you're curious about this mitochondrial inhibition and what that does to your health, I go into that deeper in the next video. I'll see you there.